Hey, we're here to talk about the Magpul Bipod line. You may have seen our bipods. We started selling them in 2017 with 3 initial models. Now we've got a total of 5. We're going to talk about why we made the bipods, what they do the same, what they individually do different, what they cost, where you can get them, how to use them, some best practices, and go through and know everything Magpul's got to offer in the bipod world. So the first 3 bipods we released were the M1913, M-LOK, and 17S versions. And as the names imply, they're for different fitments. So starting with the 17S, it's got a universal footprint that some other bipods use. There's a lot of common mounts on the industry from ARMS, LaRue, ADM, RRS, and Magpul. And it's got a footprint on top for those mounts. 2 screws. Screws come with the bipod. Get your preferred QD mount of choice, screw it right onto here and attach your bipod. We've got the 1913 bipod for Picatinny rails, as the name implies. Loosen up these 2 screws, pop it onto your pick rail. Screws act as recoil lugs, keep it in place, tighten it down, and off you go. And then we've got a direct attach M-LOK bipod. So the big difference is the hub and how they mount. From there, everything about the bipods is the same across those 3 models. So you attach it to your gun, and it's super easy to operate. From the up position, you can just sweep the legs down. If you need it to be quiet, you do the same thing. Hold the button down, release it when it's all the way down, really silent. Leg length from about 6 3/4 to 10 inches. Hold the button on the back, legs lock in place in 1/2 inch increments. The legs won't collapse when you're actually using the bipod, so if you're moving it and it's underweight, you're not going to fold the legs up under it when you got uneven pressure on it. You hit the button, lock the legs back up. One of the other cool things about the Magpul bipods, those 3 models have pan and tilt built into them. So 1913, M-LOK, and the 17S bipod. You not only get the ability to can it, you can actually pan it from side to side. And if you don't like pan, that's no big deal either. You can run the bipod adjustment all the way out, flip this chip around, and it'll lock it so it won't pan anymore. You still get the tilt function, just no pan. So pan or not, if you want it, and then they all tilt. Going on down the polymer legs, you see a roll pin right here, and it holds some non-slip rubber feet into it. The cool thing about these, you can drift these pins out and put any Atlas feet in it. So if you want spikes or skids or any of the great Atlas pattern feet out there, you got that option with the Magpul bipod too. And then if you want to adjust the tension of the pan and tilt mechanism, we've got a big knurled Type 3 anode aluminum knob right here. A lot of good purchase on it. And you can adjust the tension and lock the pan out, or the tilt. It's also got a rubber bumper right here, one that covers the hardware that holds it all together, but 2, if the bipod's not deployed and you've got it on a flat surface, it'll give you some traction to shoot off of. So same feature set across those 3, 1913, M-LOK, and 17S footprint. All right, after those 3 initial bipods, we got a lot of requests for a sling stud bipod. Every hunting rifle on earth has, an Uncle Mike's pattern sling stud on it. And then there were a ton of adapters for Picatinny rails, for M-LOK, all the attachment systems that essentially put that sling stud on there so you could attach a bipod to just about any platform out there. So we came out with our sling stud bipod. A lot of the same features. You still get tilt, but this one doesn't pan. It's really easy to attach. You see a knob right here. Put it on the sling stud, run the knob up. It'll close this cast steel clevis, and it's really, really secure. And then depending on the forend you have, narrow sporter forend, wide target forend, you get a different gasket so it'll fit your handguard optimally in pretty much any case. It's got a little bit of give, so it'll suck right up to any forend you've got. Moving on down the bipod, it's got the same feature set as the original 3 bipods. It's $129.95. Cool thing about it, once you attach the bipod, you still maintain a sling stud on the rear. That way, if you've only got one, you can still mount a sling and use your bipod. And if you do have M-LOK, we make a handy M-lock adapter where you can put this bipod or the next one we're going to talk about on any M-lock surface. So this is our dual surface QD mount for our 17S pattern bipod, but it'll also fit Atlas and Thunderbeast and any of the other excellent bipods out there that use this particular mounting footprint. You drop it onto your bipod, insert the 2 screws, tighten them down, and the cool thing about this one is with no increase in stack height, the super popular RRS Arca rails and Picatinny, you're covered for both on. So if you've got one gun with a really small piece of Picatinny rail, you only want one bipod, you only want to carry one bipod around. If you're traveling with more than one gun, whatever the case may be, drop this onto a Picatinny rail and tighten it down. It's got recoil lugs on it, it's not going to go anywhere, and it'll snug right up to your Picatinny rail, and it's as narrow as it can be in that scenario. And then you go to your competition rifle that's got an Arca Swiss pattern rail on it. You can expand it, and it's got enough adjustment where it'll grab an Arca rail, tighten the knob, and secure it on that also. So whether you're using 1913 or an Arca Swiss standard, you can use the same bipod and drop them right on there. And it's a super low profile part. It's fully machined, anodized type 3 aluminum with a knurled knob you can get a lot of purchase on and use your bipod on pretty much any setup you got. And with that, we've got our newest bipod. This is the MOE Bipod. Ton of value, a ton of performance in a really lightweight, really sleek package. So we wanted a bipod that truly, for the minimalist hunter, for anybody that needed a lightweight, extremely stable bipod, it's very affordable. We had an option for you. So it works a lot like the original Sling stud bipod, cast steel clevis, but you don't have pan and you don't have tilt. Pop this on a Sling stud, turn the knob until it's tight. It's got a flexible rubber coated saddle. It will suck it right up onto your gun. And the stack height on this thing is only 1.73 inches from top to bottom. So it's extremely low profile. It's very strong. It also doesn't have an aluminum inner leg like all of our other bipods. This is full polymer construction minus some connecting hardware. You still maintain a Sling stud on the back, so you don't lose that capability if your gun only has one stud on the front. The legs work the same way, same button arrangement. Push the legs down, you don't need to hit anything. Locks in the down position, push the button to fold them up. You've got a 7 to 10 inch range of adjustment in half-inch increments. And it's an exceptionally strong, really light bipod. Everything else comes in around 11 ounces. The MOE Bipod is only 8. So if you need a really strong, really low profile, affordable $74.95 bipod, the MOE Bipod might be the one for you. Works with our M-lock Sling stud adapter and has been a really, really good product for us. One of the concerns with the all-polymer bipod, people are used to bipods that are stamped steel and aluminum construction. There are a lot of good ones on the market. There are a lot of not so good ones on the market with strength. And what we found was in a direct pull test, this bipod is actually stronger than the ones it competes with on the market. You're not going to load this bipod hard enough to break it, to bend it. One of the other things we hear a lot with our bipods is like, well, it's kind of got a lot of slop in it, which has always been a confusing thing for me because all of the high-end bipods have that. You've got $300 to $600 machined aluminum bipods that have a lot of flex in it. It's not because they're a bad design. They're great bipods. What we run into, you have to have some clearance for those parts to move over each other, especially if you're going to be using them in the field where it's dirty. That clearance is key to keep the bipod from binding up. Ours is no different, and that little bit of flex in it, one, allows you to load the bipod, and two, gives it enough clearance so that with grit, it can still operate as normal. So it's not a design flaw. The little bit of movement we have in these parts, once you're on the gun and the bipod's weighted, it all goes away. No different than your AR stock on a buffer tube or any of those $300 to $600 bipods that are out there that actually have a little bit of wiggle in them. It's there for a reason, it's there for a purpose, and that's why we kept it in there. So when we set out with the Bipod line originally. Now we're at 5 models. What we wanted to do was take a lot of the features that people really desired in those bipods that cost $300, $400, $500 and offer them to customers at a price that was much more affordable and in line with what we would see with entry-level bipods at the time. With the strength, the performance, and the feature set we've got, we feel like we hit that mark. It's been a really, really good product line for us, and we look forward to seeing it grow in the future.